Good evening. It's Sunday night, and surprisingly, it's April. It's going to be Boston Marathon Day tomorrow. It's the middle of April. It's supposed to be spring. It's high time for spring sports. And yet here we are, sitting here, and as I sit in my home and look out towards the driveway out there, I see one of my cars covered in snow and ice. It's been one of the most interesting weather-related seasons in quite some time, and I say that politely because as a coach of an outdoor spring sport, it has absolutely wreaked havoc with our schedules, and it's just hard to believe that a spring sport is coming to an end when I'm sitting here Sunday night in kind of a fleece, and when I should have the windows open and enjoying a pleasant breeze. But it's been strange, and it has been interesting turning on the TV and sitting there and watching people watch baseball games, and it looks like they're more at a football game. It's just been strange. So for those of you who are not in the Northeast or in the northern half of the country, it's been pretty weird here, and kind of throws things off. So a couple of things. I do apologize. I promised last week I'd try to get all of the midterms graded by Wednesday. That didn't happen. In fact, it didn't get finished until this morning, and part of that has to do with increased travel schedules for the week. Found myself going to a couple of away matches I didn't expect to have because they should have been played at an earlier date, and then you take that one warm sunny day and get out there and get your matches in, and we're preparing for the conference tournament coming up this week. So again, I do apologize. I'll let my coaching job get in the way. Shouldn't do that. That's not my main job. But the discussions we had last week were very interesting. We talked about player salaries, and that's always a hot topic. That's something people have a lot of opinions on, and I think people were doing a good job of, again, keeping your sort of a sports fan emotions in check and looking at it from an objective business point of view. And I think there's some very good discussions going on there. Salaries are outrageous, really are. And I say that with a lot of experience, because not that it's ever happened to me. I'm not a professional athlete, but boy, as a fan, I've watched things balloon over the last 30 or 40 years. And that time frame, it has just been astronomical, far outpacing inflation, far outpacing the growth of the money in other forms in our economy. And it's just really interesting. And you wonder, is the spiral going to upward spiral going to stop? So I really appreciate the work everyone did. The midterm exams were pretty interesting. Again, most people did a really good job of staying above that emotional fray and staying out of that temptation to get into it, just to be on the floor and worry about the draft and worry about the product and worry about winning. It's one of those questions where there was no right or wrong answer. I did promise to reveal to people where the origin of the exam and where it came from, and I think I may have mentioned in the introduction to it, and if I didn't, I will do it now. The origin of that exam, that whole exercise, actually my model team for it was the Washington Wizards, and several people mentioned the Washington Wizards. And I chose the Wizards because they always seem to find themselves in that situation for many seasons. And then we had the good fortune, as I said, of a student athlete of ours, a baseball player, actually sitting on a flight with Mr. Ted Leonsis, who is the owner of the Wizards, and actually telling him about that assignment. And I've kind of gone on that endorsement for a number of years now, because Mr. Leonsis said he thought it was an excellent assignment. It was something that really made people think. And I promised to let you know what his answer was. And from what he told our former student was that when it came to basketball, he thought making the playoffs was extremely important for the marketing considerations and setting up for the momentum for the next season and for free agency. That's where he thought it was. He wasn't so concerned with maybe making a few extra dollars from a few extra home games. That was not a consideration at all. He was looking at it more as a strategic tool, and a strategic tool that, because of the way the lottery worked, it could help set up his franchise. Now, pushing into that eighth spot, he he was kind of discounting the lottery, saying, look, I'm out of getting one of the top 2 or 3 players. Still going to get a good player, but I need to have this whole balance. If there was a race to the bottom to get the best player, to maybe drop from fourth from the bottom to the bottom, that would be a different issue. Now, at the time, he also owned the Washington Capitals and said if this was going on in hockey, because of the type of market and the type of demographic of the hockey consumer, it was more important to build for the long term. And in that one, he would definitely tank the season and go for the longer term solution. So he was all for the playoff push. And within your answers, their sentiment was split. And as long as it was well reasoned and well thought out, I assure you were properly rewarded for that. Okay, this week, here's the curveball. I'm going to make a little change. You'll notice that in the discussion board and in the materials, it's all about Title IX. I'd like to open it up a little bit more than that. And if you have a favorite issue in college sports that you want to bring up and introduce in the discussion board, by all means do so. And this is going to require that everybody pay extremely close attention to what everyone else is posting and talking about. Yes, we can use the Title IX material as a guide. Yes, we can use some of those additional resources I put in as a guide. But you know, this is an emotional issue and a hot topic. It's something current. Everybody's got a favorite topic in college sports on the business and economic side. So it can be the basketball tournament, it can be power conferences, it can be conference realignment, it can be paying players, anything like that. It will continue over into next week when we do ask about the payment of players, so maybe if you'll hold off on that. But if you have a favorite issue in college sports, I want you to bring it up this week, and let's see where we can go with this. This has been a good class so far. I think the discussions have been great, and this is the way we want to keep going and close it out. You'll also find this week that you have an introduction to what the final assignment is going to be. And it's put there in detail so you can start working on it now. This is not an assignment you can just sit down and do in one night. That's why I've had it laid out for you and letting everybody get that head start. So make sure you do that. All right, this is important. This is one of the videos I do want you to watch. Take a look at what's in there. If you have any questions, please call. Thanks.